maybe it doesn't make any sense or something. After a certain point, it's like the only options that are left there are the only actions expected. It's something I've been thinking about for a bit, because I've been noticing society go through a really weird slump. And this slum isn't a typical thing. Like, typically society doesn't exactly go through these types of things. It's usually more towards the end of a society that you start seeing the family dynamics break down and so on. So, a big issue that will add on to this typically, you'll see that towards the end, theater becomes a very big common denominator of most congregations of people creating their own, let's say, ideas. Whether these ideas are helpful to society as a whole is a question all on its own, but these ideas will and or will not perpetuate certain types of norms over time. The problem with looking at things statistically, though, because you can, statistics just add a slight overglaze to be able to prove a point. It's not exactly the point that you're going to want to prove. And as long as it's the point that you're not going to want to prove, that's going to be some heavy crap right there. Because you're going to have to be able to not only go against your own moral set in those cases, but be able to appeal to moral sets that are much more common and feasible for society rather than working in the detriment of society as a whole. This can, going against society as a whole can equal as large groups of society not, for example, procreating, which can lower the numbers and lower future safety for that society. Other problems that you might see are trends and so on that become almost like a hostile force. These trends becoming like a new norm, like a religious ritual, like a rite of passage in some ways into the technological now. Since we have all these things that kind of exist around us and they're interacting with us, like, as much as we would like to think that we are the ones interacting with technology, in all truth, it's interacting with us. It's learning everything about us, things that we like, things that we would like to purchase, our deepest secrets, everything. And we sit here and we think, oh wow, that's cool. My golly, I would really like it. But in all truth, do you know what you're buying? That's my problem with society as a whole nowadays. They don't understand the terms of service. Do you know what you're purchasing? I'm not trying to say this as a bullcrap allegory. I'm saying, do you know what you're purchasing? Okay, now that I've said that enough times, I'm quite sure that most of you hate going over the same things over and over again, but I assure you, in history, this is a common thing, going back to the same thing just for it to shoot you in the foot again. So, I mean, after a while, societies have to get to a certain point where they choose either the scientific arts, because they are a form of art, or towards the theological truths and philosophy, which usually aims to more so make sense of things that are nonsensical. This is why theories have become so prevalent in modern history, and I mean, you can think to yourself that, oh, well, back then we had philosophers and this and that, and it didn't affect us, and it's, well, yeah, but towards the end of a society, that's when arts start to disappear. The mediums in which are used are usually challenged in some way, because in order for art to exist, the cohesion of society around it has to be able to work well enough for the mediums to be produced. You can't have a bunch of unhappy people mining chalk. I mean, sure you can, but then it's only going to be used for completely necessary things, possibly just war. So, when we look at it in these use cases, and why, let's say, as of recently, money's been a big hot topic, because there's a big planned change that's supposed to be happening. And mind you, this change isn't something that is actually good for society. The diversity of currency is actually a very important part of human society. It makes it so that there is more money to go around, because that money has value in specific places. So, let's put this all into specific lining then. Basically, when you see art and family and expression and different things start to die out, and you see war brew, what tends to happen is that people like to go, oh, well, that's not what we're aiming for, the intention is this. Okay, but do you know what's going on in those other countries? Do you know what they're having to go through because of the corporations? The corporations which pleasantly reside in, you could say, your backyard. Do you understand the issues that could come of this? But no, rather people would sit and moan about the supply lines collapsing and not think about where certain things may or may not have came from. Now, for a very long time, we were living in something that we would like to call the American dream.
It's dangerous here.
And now I would consider this the post-American illusion. Honestly, this is a very scary time for anybody that understands history. So, given all the factors of every single aspect of human nature and human fleshly nature, carnal nature at that, being met as of recently in every single medium you could possibly think of, I think the culmination of this is going to result in a further mental demoralization and collapse of society as a whole. Due to my studies and so on, and a lot of other things that I have learned over the years, the amounts of mental work I have put in to making things come to, if not be able to come into fruition. at least won't be for nothing. As of recent, a lot of people have been starting to wake up. A lot less than I would like, because any of the people that are honestly truly awake are going to be trying to actually look to make changes within their communities, societies, governments, states, provinces, so on. And the issue is that we have too many people that are willing to sit back and think to themselves that none of this will affect them. I assure you it will. Let's put it down to the numbers. There's about 8 billion people on Earth. About 2% of the Earth owns mostly everything, which is actually a lot smaller than you think, considering that that 2% has destroyable capital in the first place in the form of humans and or clones anyway. They can afford it. And all this technology is coming to a head. So they just want a certain amount of people around. They don't need 98% of us. What's 98% of 8 billion? I could have sworn at one point we had 2 trillion people on Earth. I could have sworn. And then it went to about 14 billion. Now it's just 8 billion. And this was within a span of me growing up in the numbers I heard. Numbers I remember looking up on the internet and in dictionaries and so on. Adding up. Within that time. What I'm afraid of is that because of the internet and mediums that are ever changing, we are going to lose what stability and history and historical accuracy that we all were supposed to grow up with. This is going... This is going to affect our society in many ways. Most of them are, at first, are going to seem positive. At some point, you're going to see alternate histories taken more serious than real history. What is pleasant to people's eyes. This could be labeled as false doctrine, unsound teachings. A lot of people don't even know how to read nowadays. Especially in languages that they write. They can't even be right in what they write. Worried about the future. Not for what people think.
Out of this ruling, it could hardly be better calculated to shake Chinese confidence in the United States. And it comes at the very moment when Red Chinese negotiators are staring across the table at their Russian counterparts in Moscow. In every possible way, the Russians are trying to make use of their Robotoid advantage while they can. Because there is a lesson which runs throughout military history, and the Russians know it well. That lesson is that when one side in a conflict develops a new weapon, the other side will soon counter it with a similar weapon. So a new weapon can decide a conflict only if it is used quickly. In AUDIO letters 46 and 47, I reported that Robotoid technology in the United States is far behind that of Russia. But now, the Bolshevik and Zionist enemies of Russia have achieved their own surprise. The Rothschild interests, which control both movements, have for many years been deeply involved in biological research of all kinds. They have not succeeded in learning the secrets of the Russian Robotoids, but they have achieved success with something similar. They are called synthetic automatons, or simply synthetics. A Rothschild synthetic is similar to a Russian Robotoid in certain ways. Each is an artificial life form designed to simulate a human being, but synthetics also differ from Robotoids in important ways. For one thing, they are generated by radically different techniques. Both utilize genetic samples from actual humans as their starting point, but beyond that, everything is different.
Oh yes, the good deeds, they shall multiply, whether it's electronic money, gift certificates, or bubblegum trading cards. Attention! Everyone has the right to issue their own money.